Wow. Well, I tell you what, this is a lot of fun getting to interview these panels. How many of you were in the first panel? I know some of you stayed in the room. I see it was worth it. You wanted to come around for round two. So we'll start with Mom. I'm going to ask everybody to just quickly share your name, former occupation. If you could even do a 1-minute story, that'd be great. Just people learn a little bit about you, but we really want to get into nuts and bolts and how we're building, right? Once you showed up, you want to know how are they doing it. So, but I want to make sure you all get a chance for a quick introduction. A lot of new people at this convention. They may have seen you on stage, but they want to make sure put a name, occupation, number of years with NeoLife, okay? Mom, let's start with you.
I'm Marjorie
Clark. Keep saying Mom, so.
I'm Marjorie Clark. I was a double major in French and Education from Auburn University, War Eagle. And, but really, I just use the education part to teach my 10 children.
I'm Shelley Lazone. I have been with NeoLife for 2.5 years, and I'm a hairstylist.
I'm Gary Lazone. I've been with NeoLife, obviously, for, well, actually, I'm going to say 2 years and 2 months, and I'll elaborate on that later. And I actually work in the geriatric field with people that are institutionalized with dementia and Alzheimer's. So what Kendra was saying earlier today was pretty much my wheelhouse, actually.
Wow, where are you from?
Oh, sorry, San Jose, California.
Arlene Morris. I'm from Corona, California. I have, for 30 years, almost 30 years, I've run a homeschool group. It's a private school that serves only homeschoolers, and we do support services. And so I'm still partly involved in that, but mostly working over into the NeoLife. And I've been doing NeoLife since January of 2019, or 2019, good, 2012. So.
And let me ask this question while you're doing your intro. Why are you building the business? Even though I don't want to get so much into product stories today in this, but I think we would like to hear why are you building, and then we'll find out what you're doing.
I'm building a business simply because it sort of happened. I started out just taking product. We had absolutely no intention of doing a business, doing an MLM. We were just taking product, but it worked, and people asked us, about different things. We would, anytime Louis was in town, we would invite people to the meetings, and so then we got questions. We answered questions. We signed people up. We knew how to do that. But it just sort of grew, and by the time I became a director, I said, well, I guess I got a business.
I'm Linda Burr, and I live in Big Bear Lake, California. I have been in the NeoLife business for 4.5 years, but taking NeoLife for 5 years. I decided to build the business. I was already involved in network marketing. I had first a direct sales business with a really, really bad comp plan, great products. I had another network marketing business after that had another great product, really bad comp plan. And I want to just tell you a little plug for events right here. Somebody got me, Kathy and Bob Babcock, got me to go to one of Louis' meetings. I went to actually then 2 of them, plus his Ontario functions. And at that time, I just said, Lord, really? Are we switching? And I saw the integrity of the products. I saw the integrity of the company. I saw the hearts of the people. And that's why I'm building.
Wow. Get people to events, huh? Good tip.
My name is Alan Blaine. Full-time NeoLife now, formerly, depending on who you might be talking to, since these stories are all important, several years as a police officer, several years as a carpenter, several years, the last 8 years as CEO of a real estate development company, and 2 years, actually, I guess we've been taking the products for 18 years, and building the business in March was 3 years, and full-time for 2. Is that everything?
Yep, that's good. And where are y'all from, Nicole?
I'm his wife, by the way, Nicole Blaine. I belong to him. We are from, well, I'll say Nashville, Tennessee now. That area, yeah. So we're living there now and love it. And prior to NeoLife, like you said, we've been on the products for 18 years. Prior to NeoLife, homeschool mom, stay-at-home mom. I still do that, but now I get to work with my husband, so I do that as well. So I'm a full-time NeoLifer, and I love it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, we pass the mic. Okay, so we want to get into how is this panel achieving the success that we all have witnessed this past weekend. They've been every one of them up on stage a lot for numerous different awards. So what are they doing? What's setting them apart? What's working? So Mom, can you get into, knowing your story really well, can you talk a little bit about the sacrifice and how you guys went about realizing that, counting the cost as a family, and what you've seen as far as the fruit of that? Because I want to keep this real, right? And I appreciate how Mom keeps it real. The rewards are unbelievable. The kind of money they've made, amazing. But there are some very real, I call them short-term sacrifices that have to be made. And they're short-term because the rewards are worth it. And I'm the oldest, and I'll sit here and tell you they are. Okay, but Mom, let's keep it real. Tell them what has entailed that first 5 years.
Okay, it's easy to think of sacrifice in a negative way. So when you're sacrificing, you're not sacrificing just to sacrifice. It's so you end up not with just good, but the best. And it has to be linked to goals and dreams. And you have to be all in because you can't go ask someone else to sacrifice if you're not willing to sacrifice. And so when my health turned around and we realized as a family that Mom had energy now, Lawrence called a meeting. And he, explained what the kids already knew, that, okay, Mom has her health back. Now, y'all have been running the house. Really, they were doing most of the work for quite a few years. And now Mom has her health back, and she could take back over, some of these jobs. But we have an opportunity here where we can build a business, and we can provide things that you're going to be needing in the future. We're going to be able to God's going to open doors and opportunities and blessings. There's going to be money there for education and starting businesses and doing all kinds of things for y'all. And we didn't even realize all the amazing things that God was going to do for our children through NeoLife. Just the fact of personal development. Well, they all voted, to be all in, okay? But of course, they weren't going to be all in if we weren't all in. So they knew, even children catch on to whether you're all in. We talk about being all in and people can tell. Well, kids can too. And so, the interesting thing for us is sometimes you think of sick people as not the best people to go to. Well, what we had just come out of is that our home was running very streamlined because my health had been bad. So we were in an ideal situation to right there take that streamlined, efficient lifestyle, and that now I had some energy, and we could turn that into building a business, and that's what we did. We were sitting there. We had already been through the trials and fire of bringing all that into line, and now we could actually go do something. And I was going to say, another thing I think about sacrifice is that, did we really sacrifice? Sometimes you think of it as a sacrifice, but really, when you sacrifice short-term things for the best, you really ended up being more efficient. You ended up not wasting, because really hindsight, when you're not sacrificing, don't you look back, don't you sometimes, well, maybe you're not like me, but, you watch a movie, and at the end of it, you go, ugh, what a waste of time. I could have been doing so-and-so. Unless I was watching a kid movie with my grandkids. That's different, you know what I mean? But a lot of times it's like, that was wasted time what I did. Unless you're building relationships with your family and with your kids. And even then when you're watching a movie, I hate to say this, you're sitting there side by side and you're all looking at a screen, and did it really build a relationship? I'd rather go play cards or go play a game or go do something else. So anyway, you get my picture. So you think of it as a sacrifice, but when it's linked to a goal, a functionable goal, and I said some more thing. Oh, I erased all my notes. But what was it I had down there? Oh, yeah. You can only sacrifice yourself. Do you know what I mean? You can't they get their own choice to sacrifice. And so I highly recommend that you go watch that leadership call where Bart Gant, he carried the burden of sacrificing to build a business, but not making his family sacrifice until they chose to sacrifice. So when you hear Cassie give her side, it's so amazing to see how he carried his burden. He did that, and then she came along. And that's a really cool thing to talk about sacrifice and how to do it in a way where people want to sacrifice with you. So
That's a great point.
And I just want to say again, when you sacrifice, I don't see how how we as mothers can't afford to not sacrifice, because we are taking away from our kids so many valuable personal development opportunities. And I just appreciate Julia Nelson there on the front row, her saying that was one of the reasons she said that was helping her to want to hang in here, is to see all the amazing people they could be around. I remember my first time at World Team, they were talking about, do you remember the first time you were at World Team? I remember walking in and seeing all those go-getters, knew how to go after goals, driven people. I hadn't been in a room with so many driven people in my life, actually, you know, and I remember seeing all those people for their first time and going, wow. And my kids getting to grow up with that and being friends. I mean, Josh still remembers meeting Charlotte Shelton, you know. And I'm just saying that influence of meeting those kinds of people, I can't even put a price tag on what that did for my children. Even if I never made a penny, what my kids got is worth so much more.
I agree. And as the mic's being passed down, I'll just comment on that real quick. There definitely were that's why I say as the oldest, I know what I'm asking her to talk about, because, you know, there were sacrifices I had to make. The older ones did, the younger ones won't have to. But you know, that's what happened to our founding fathers.
That's a mistake, though, not to make the younger ones sacrifice too.
But what I mean is, but some of the short-term sacrifices for long-term rewards. I mean, you know, them going to college at that time at 7. I mean, different things they got to do. I'm so happy for her. But what I'm trying to say is,
he chose to go to sleep at night listening to personal training tapes. Zig Ziglar. We didn't make him do that. He was 14 years old. And they'd play him over and over, and then they'd practice on me. And I fell for every one of those lines.
But, you know, it's some of you parents, and I don't want to make this the issue, but as we go to Shelley, but I don't want to make this the issue for you, because it may be something different. But some of us parents are putting too much guilt on ourselves to have to run our kids around to sports and to do all of that. You know what? And again, and maybe that's a great place to meet people, okay? It really is. Okay, so my kids do play sports, but you can't do everything. So some of these parents in this room, you're trying to build the business and you're trying to do everything. You may not be able to do everything. It was better for me, even though I love sports, okay? So it's coming from somebody who loves to play sports, right? It was hard for me to give that up, but guess what? Being around Charlotte Shelton, I'll take that any day than having got to have a high school career of playing sports. Okay, and she's still my friend today, and I'm still learning from her today. And so that was beautiful. And all my siblings are all entrepreneurs in one way or another, thanks to growing up through that. So, you know, you can't have it all. I'm thankful for what Mom chose. You're not still playing baseball. He can comment on that. So let's go to Shelley now. So Shelley, you guys stepped up to World Team this year, not so many months ago. And great job, number 2. So what are you guys doing to build your business? What's the key to your success? We want to get into the real nitty-gritty here.
I think I have to just duplicate what Chelsea said about consistency. I think that is a make it or break it, right? When you're not consistent, things that you were doing before were working, and then you stop doing it, and then you're like, wait, what happened? I don't have as much PV or whatever it may be. Being consistent, keep doing the lunch and learns or your meetings or your nutritional events, just like Chelsea said, even if no one's there, no one knows, do a live. If it's just your team that's there, have somebody else do the presentation. Have them practice. Continue to grow. Don't just not have it because nobody RSVP'd. And if somebody asks about it, you don't need to say no one was there. You can just say it was great. Because it was. That's where you grow, is in a challenge. And so if you don't have challenges, you need to up your dream. That's what I think. If you're not going through a difficult time, you need to go dream bigger. I think what I said earlier is just getting in as many communities as you can to meet many people every day. I don't know. Do you have anything to add? Want to add to it?
I'm just going to reiterate. So the events are not optional. I think that's maybe what should be mentioned, is that a weekly event, a Friday night dinner, a breakfast of champions, a shake party, a monthly nutritional, those aren't things that you do or don't do. Those are things that are done, period, no matter what. You don't question it. They're done all the time. They're done consistently. The outcome isn't necessarily what you're shooting for. What you're shooting for is that there's something consistent. It's always there. And it's always an opportunity for not only you to bring people, but for people in your team to bring people. You know what I mean?
And you can't, and this goes for me too, you can't be addicted to the outcome, right? Because if we think, oh, well, they're going to say no, or I got a no today, so I'm not going to ask him. Who cares? Who cares what people think of you? Who cares if you do get a no? Just push on and just keep going. I mean, we've heard it over and over. Don't give up, and it's so true. That's what I've learned, is who said it? Louis? Somebody said, I can't remember exactly how they said it, but it's basically, if you're fearful of something, don't let it stop you, because the fear is still going to be there. So you might as well just keep going and forget it and just keep pushing through. And the more we talk to people, the more we put ourselves out there, the more we step out of our comfort zone every single day, what happens? It becomes a habit and you get better. So practice on people you don't know versus somebody you do know. Not that you can't, but just, make it a habit to get out and talk to at least 3 people a day where you get their contact. Not just, hey, how are you? Oh, I talked to somebody today, check. No, that doesn't work. So really, putting yourself out there and it becomes fun. I look forward to challenges and obstacles, because if I don't have an obstacle or, a challenge, then I'm not growing. And I'm growing and I only want to go up, so.
I got a couple questions for you guys. This is a real quick one, but you're a hairstylist. Would you recommend how many of y'all women have hairstylists? Maybe some of you men as well. If you're like me, you don't get a buzzer, but how many of you have hair? Raise your hand again. Okay. So Shelly, 15 seconds. What can they tell their hairstylist? Would you recommend these products, from the Nutrients Organic to the Nutritionals, to them?
Absolutely. I actually, in the last 15 years of doing hair, I just found a stylist that I trust. I don't know if anybody of you go through somebody, you're like, oh, I don't know if my hair's going to come out when I leave, or if I now need to go from long hair to a bob because they screwed up or whatever. I finally found somebody, and I've been sharing with her, and she wants to start a business. And yes, please do your stylist a favor. You don't want to end up with degenerative disc disease from standing for so long with bad posture. Get out of that and go into something that it will give you so much freedom. And I used to work 6 days a week when we first started NeoLife. Now I'm down to 2. Why? Because I can financially, but I love it. I can't get out of it just yet. So yes, talk to your stylist. I have a display of the Nutrients Organic that I sample on every single person. I don't ask them. I say, hey, will you do me a favor? I'm on a success team and I need to get this point. Do you mind? I mean, you don't even have to tell me, this is not to buy. I just want you to sample it. And 9 times out of 10, they buy the kit because they feel it, they smell it. And I'm not even asking them anything. It's not awkward. So I'm saying, hey, I need this point on my success tracker. Can you just do me a favor, please? Just real quick. Let's just do it on your hand. Okay. Thank you. What'd you think of it? I write down notes, what they think. And I say, hey, I really want to know your opinion. so I can write it down and take notes for the next person. I like learning, and they do it. And so anyways, yes, you need to do your stylist a favor, and you might need to find a new stylist because they'll end up doing the business with you, but that's okay.
That's $1 million idea right there, y'all. That's $1 million idea. I remember doing that too. My dad told me to do that. He said, you do so many presentations every week, regardless, and you ask them if you can just practice on them, that you have to report back in, right? You have to report back and get these presentations done. Can you just practice? And so if you want to get them done, there will be no excuses when you're ready to get beyond that. You'll just do them every week, and you'll use that trick.
Without going on to my part, I want to bounce off of what you just said about stylists. My sister is a hairdresser, and she told me years ago she fully expects to die fairly young. She says most stylists do because of all the fumes from the various perms and different chemicals that they're using all the time. And so that's yet another way you can get in. Plus, of course, then her joints are wearing out and all that. And she works with elderly, and so she's often balancing a wheelchair and throwing her hip sideways to balance a wheelchair while she pushes them back and then washes their hair in a sink. Yes. And so she's really hurting. But she does another company that starts with an H, and she won't listen to me.
Yet. Yeah.
So, but I'm trying. But anyway, that's another angle of that whole thing, that whole chemical input thing.
Yep.
And just one more really quick.
Hold the mic.
I even tell every single client about our shampoo and conditioner, like just super basic, letting them know what it is. I use it on them, and 9 times out of 10 they order. So you can even tell your
One last thing for you. One last thing. How many of you have big goals and dreams for this business? Okay, good. All right, are you willing to make some sacrifices to get there? That's why you're in here, right? Okay, one of the things that Gary and Shelley are doing, I know, because I knew Gary before he got in. I mean, we knew him through our church, and I ended up getting to know him. So I got to know him more. Chelsea was working with him in the business. They were involved in a small group with us. So I know a little bit about his just personal growth and development, just on the outside of the business, spiritual side as well. And I think one thing that's cool is seeing you guys are very hospitable with the business. Okay, Gary used to be a bit of a hermit, shall we say. He loved to tinker with bikes and build bikes and stuff and disappear in his garage. Now he's supporting Shelley with a great attitude, and they're opening their home. They talked about Friday nights. They're having couples to dinner every Friday night, right? Is that a quick comment on that? I mean, you're going to have to open up, share your life, like Mom talked about sacrifice. You guys are doing that. And I'll tell you, if I may say this, and this is kind of scary. I think I know you well enough, it's okay. But they moved from L.A. to San Jose. In San Jose, real estate is obscene, okay, right? So a lot of times family will live, and so they had a home that was your father's that they're living in. And I'll tell you something. People, you mind if I say this about the room off to the side of your house that people can see that's full of a bunch of boxes that your father left there? Okay, that would be an excuse for people not to have an event. How many of you have said, people have said, I don't want to have an event because my house isn't perfect. Let me wait. Okay, I've never said this to them, but I respect the fact that their house has a room that you can see that's full of your dad's stuff.
Yeah, so he's gonna move back in and do whatever at the house, and we're gonna move out. So in the meantime, we're still there till September.
You're in a transition period.
Yeah. And
that could have been an excuse.
Our whole family room is literally boxes. So every client that comes over or a friend that comes over, they're like, "Oh, you're moving?" Which we are, but they think that's our stuff. I'm like, "No, that's my dad's. Let's not go in there." I call it the dark room. So yeah, and
I think a lot of people would not be World Team on stage today because they would have waited.
Yeah, and it's yeah.
Waiting is the worst thing you could ever possibly do. Don't wait. Get busy and do it now, regardless of what you think. Just do it. And the events have to be permanent, not optional.
Thank you. Is this helpful? Okay. You're going to come up with that. I come up with those excuses all the time. You got a story now, real story. Arlene, so congrats to you. It's been a great weekend for your team. Lots of great things
I told
happening.
my husband before I came, well, last year I was on stage several times because we were step-ups, and I did Achievers Club. So I won't even be on stage this time.
So, and you are. So tell us about what are you doing that's leading to the success of your organization, that seeds that were planted that's got you where you are? It was not by osmosis.
I will say that this year I checked out to some extent. I kept continuing on supporting and continuing to go to things, but I wasn't hosting a lot, and I wasn't reaching out to new people, and yet we're still growing. And the reason for that is I support my downline, and my downline was growing. For example, I've got a gal in my downline, well, Patty Green, you saw her as one of the 3 rising stars. She's under me, and under her is someone else, and under her is someone else who's growing. And so we've got several people really growing and growing pretty quickly. But anytime there's a meeting at their house, whether whoever's speaking at it, whether it's a Louis meeting at their house or we're doing something else there, I'm there and I will help them see if they need anything before we go to the meeting. And then even the last meeting I was at, the hostess, never mind, I'll just say, Carol was having it in the meeting in a home under her. And Carol was signing up a couple of her friends who came, and she said, here, my friend needs to sign up. I'm going to go do this. You help sign them up. So I helped her sign up her friend. Somebody else was helping somebody else. So we were all working together on their business, helping them and that's where my growth has been this year, has been helping my downline, whether it was Patty or Carol or Robin under her or May under her, those kinds of things. So it's been working with the downline and helping them. I am kind of getting back to calling people. In fact, I got 2 leads this weekend. So not even here. One was I ran into a friend of mine, an old acquaintance of mine, as I was getting on the plane. And then when we had a layover connection flight, our plane wasn't quite there, so we chatted, and I was drinking my NeoLife shake, and yep, got a lead from that. She says, "Oh, I want to know more." And then another one came in that I had mentioned something to before, and I was absolutely shocked it came in. So I have 2 leads. So I'm back to looking at things for coming up for myself, as well as, of course, still helping. And I've been to all of the conventions since I started, and all of Louis' events since I started, and all of that. So the events portion of it is still very valid.
So do you all want to build a business to where you can enjoy a season, as she shared here and shared with me last week when we were talking, a season where you can pull your hands off, and do you still want to get paid? Mm-hmm. That's what you're hearing here. It's pretty cool, right? But during that season of a lot going on, you have been at all the events, every single one of them. You're still there for your team. You're not walking away. You're not leaving, but you can enjoy those seasons. I'd like to talk about the consistency, though. Even if you're not in a building phase, building new lines of business, you're constantly following up. You just talked about that, supporting your team's events. But you just shared this with us. You don't love them and leave them. Louis gave us a great lesson on that earlier. Build deep in the organization. So you've done that, and that's why it's so stable, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing this year. But can you talk a little bit about the seeds that you planted years ago that you're still following up with and just brought a guy in?
Okay, I was just telling Josh when he called that day before that, I'd had an interesting conversation. I got a call on my cell phone, and so it popped up with the name of the person, and I'm going, who is that? I've got his name is in my phone, and he had my name in his phone. And he said, well, you remember I came to a meeting with that guy from South Africa. He was talking at a church. I don't know, a couple years ago or so, and you gave us this little bottle of this green stuff. It was a 1-ounce sample of green. He says, my wife wants some. I thought, well, it's taken them 2 years to use up 1 ounce. They probably don't need more than a quart. So I said, you probably want a quart, not a gallon, right? And he said, yeah, I want a quart. So I was thinking, I said, so who invited you? I don't know, a friend of a friend. Well, what church was it at? I'm not sure. It was an older church, and so we went through this, and I wasn't sure who he was. By the end of the conversation, I had remembered it was at Nikki's, who he was, but by then he was already, you follow up on him or you may lose him. So anyway, I went ahead and signed him up, and we get to the end of this conversation about the green, and signed him up as a member, got all the way to where we were going to push the button submit, and he says, oh, by the way, do you have any like nutritional supplements too? I'm not real sure what he was listening to at the meeting, but he remembered the green. He didn't remember anything else. So we went back, and he, number one, he went up to a promoter, and number two, he ordered a box of Pro Vitality and a bottle of acidophilus for starters, and he's got a ton. He only gets $15,000 worth of medication and supplements every month, he says. So I don't know how he does that, but that's what his story has been for 5 years now. So who knows where they're going to come back. And like I said, I had followed up with him for at least 6 weeks or more, and probably I'd had him on my email list for longer than that, but I never did hear back from him. I remember trying to call him, trying to reach out to him. I never got any responses. So when I changed over my email, I didn't put him into my new email list because I hadn't heard from him for 3 years, 2 years, whatever it was. So there is still hope for those older ones. So it pays to go back, not just to those who are in your downline that you haven't heard from for a while. Go back to those cards that were filled out at meetings from long ago and just touch base with them every once in a while. I didn't, and he taught me a lesson. He came back to me, so I will go back now through the rest of my cards. That gives me some starters for my new contacts.
Awesome. She's a follow-up queen, so it pays. Okay, Linda Burr. So Linda Burr has not only was she it's in the top 10 world team, but she has a weight loss challenge champion in her team. She has a business challenge champion in her team. There's a lot of momentum that's building right now, and I can't wait to see what next year is going to look like. So, Linda, what are you doing?
Well, first of all, I do encourage them to enter the weight loss challenge. And actually, with Barbara, for example, I really had to actually do it with her. And we got permission from Jessica to go back to when she first signed up, so don't give up like if your person didn't sign up at the very beginning. We managed to find a picture of her at the very beginning and so on. So don't give up. So also Lyle, who won the 90-day challenge, the same thing with him. I had to do it with him. So a lot of support there. Really, what I've been focusing a lot on this year is working with my team, trying to train them. Actually, we're working on doing our own home presentations because Louis is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and I can't be everywhere either. So my directors need to learn how to do their own home presentations. And I think that's going to be super, super important. In fact, I challenge every one of you out there, if you want to grow, you learn how to do your own presentation. And guess what? If you're scared, do it anyway. Because the worst presentation is the one you never gave. Getting people to events. One of the things I do, I already bought my 5 tickets, and also one of my team members also bought 5 tickets, and so I buy a lot of tickets to events, so I'm financially committed ahead of time, so that when it's either, my money's, it's already been spent, so I need to get people then to come to those events, and those events I think are really key. We do a farmer's market. That's another excellent tool for training my team. So we have 2 booths now. We have a nutritional booth and a nutrients booth where we actually have samples there, and it's very exciting. We do spa hours, and let me just tell you, if you want to be really comfortable or less uncomfortable, let me just put it this way, in doing your very first presentation, do a spa hour. Kendra and Clarissa did an excellent job in that DVD. What an excellent tool, Josh. And it truly is plug and play. And you can make it as simple as you want or as elaborate as you want. And we have people on our team, oh my goodness, I just am awed about how fancy they get. Not me. Mine isn't that fancy. I basically set up my computer. We have little wooden stands that we have mirrors, and they're the handle mirrors. And so the mirrors fit in sideways, and then a little headband hangs from the side of it. So, and then we have the products and a washcloth and some puffs. And basically we serve Richard cocktails. And Richard cocktails are Trey, aloe vera, tart organic cherry juice, and sparkling water. As a matter of fact, Louis talked about, at first, he never even did presentations at all. He just invited people over for dinner. We had a couple over for dinner from our church that we had been wanting to get to know, and fortunately, they're from Hawaii, which is really cool. So we served Richard cocktails. Never said a word about it except Richard goes, "Oh yeah, she sells this," when they wanted to know what was in it. That was it for any kind of NeoLife plug. Well, the next day she's calling me up, and she signs up as a promoter with Richard cocktail ingredients. And they, as I said, I now have promoters in Hawaii, which is really exciting. And so that's another thing, is just being hospitable, as you were talking about. It's so important to be hospitable to people. Dinners of Champions we have. We try and do team training so that we are learning. I don't know if there's anything I'm missing, but we're doing quite a bit, Josh.
Yes, I know you are. Talk regular. She is one-on-ones, regular events,
yes.
Structure in your organization. You're constantly. You're like Louis. I asked Louis to talk about his calendar, how his calendar is full. People value your time because you value your time. I've noticed that about you.
Well, thank you. We do three-way calls too. That's really, really important, because a lot of times it does say in the Bible, I think Jesus might have said it, a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown. And it doesn't matter how much you know, you are the prophet in your own hometown. So to get a three-way call going is very powerful.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I talk to people everywhere I go. And I just ask questions, just get to know them. And, it's just fun. You just care about people and get to know them, and you're always listening. And sometimes you just feel like, you know what, that's nice, I got to know them. But a lot of times it leads to, if I knew of something that would help you with that need, would you be interested? And if would you? You know the triple opt-in formula, Josh, have you heard of that?
That's awesome. Let's give it up for Linda. Linda's one of those that's in the season of building, not maintaining. She is actively at this very moment. Great person to be asking questions to. Next, speaking of that, is Alan and Nicole Blaine. Now, Alan and Nicole, you did see them on stage, but maybe not as much so as you might have last year. But let me point out, it's not because they are in active building zone. They had 3 of the top 10 on stage for top 10 world team were theirs. They had, Dwight and Marilee in 4th place, and Katie and Elijah tied for 2nd, and they had Chad and Janice. So great job. How many of you would like to have 3 in the top 10? Plus the number 1 rising star was in their organization. So we want to hear, what are you guys doing to build leaders? Also, they just moved to a brand new town, and they got a fresh new story, how they started from absolute scratch. I think Nicole's going to focus on that side. So we want to hear from them on that. Plus, Alan has really made it a passion of his to really tackle social media. So you guys have been asking about that. So I've asked Alan to share a few tips on that. So what are you guys doing to build the business? A couple things I'd love for you to share there.
Okay. I just want to say we just launched new promoters in Nashville, and they did their very first, we did the first 2 or 3 healthy hours with them in their home over the first couple weeks of them being a promoter. And then the third or fourth one, they did completely on their own without us. We weren't even there, which is pretty exciting. In less than 30 days, they're doing it on their own, probably going to do 2,000 points in their first full month in July. And why am I saying that? Oh, because they had a friend that couldn't make it, so they Facebook Lived it while they were doing the real live presentation for their, few guests that were in their living room. And they were a little nervous, as we all would be, right, of our first presentation, and then it's broadcasting Facebook Live. And I told them, to Linda's point, this is a little off track, but it's just so good, Josh, if that's okay. It's so good. I told them, I wish, you said the worst presentation is the one you never do? Yes, is the one you don't do. So to that point, I said, I wish I had recorded through Facebook Live or any other way, wouldn't matter, my first presentation. Actually, any one of my first 3 would work. Because if I played it to you today, I told them, and I would say this to all you, and Nicole will verify, it will make everyone feel very good. Okay? So, yeah, do it. I just want to echo. I want to back up what she just said. And what Gary said about how don't use your house not being perfect or beautiful or clean or neat or whatever as an excuse or big enough. Samuel Swayze, who's sitting back there, 18 years old with a nice, good head of hair, afro-looking blonde right there. So proud of Samuel. His family is in the process of building a new custom home and is living in the temporary meantime in a greenhouse. And that's not stopping him from doing healthy hours. So we all can make excuses, and everyone else's house is better than ours, and everyone has more time than us, and everyone has more money than us, and everyone speaks better than us. But when we get past all that and just say, I'm going to do this, you will do it. And I just wanted to say that. So a couple of great things have been shared. Thank you. I'll let Nicole share what we're doing in Nashville.
Okay, what we're doing. So we moved into May, and prior to that, we had a goal. We wanted to be in Achievers Club 15, and it just seemed like we kept the past few months. Prior to that, we were in 5, and we're like, oh, no, we have to get in 15. And so we moved that first month, and we hit 15, which is, we just moved. And you know what? We had a lot going on, too. A lot of, we had a big trial. Alan lost his brother. That was hard right before the move. Can you imagine? So really, I felt like, number 1, it was God's blessing. 2, Al and I are, our whole thing is we're committed. No matter what trials we face or bumps in the road, we've always told each other we're committed. We're all in this business no matter what happens. And even moving, the stress, everyone knows the stresses of moving. We were committed to right away, get out there and meet people. And we're an amazing community. But, the first week I joined a Bible study.
Before she rolls into that, you need to know that we moved 8 weeks ago to Nashville and knew, you want to know how many people we knew their name? No family. We knew the name of 0 people. So if you ever wonder and think, well, who do I talk to? Imagine being dropped into a town. Yes, there's 2 million people within an hour's drive of our home, but we didn't know one person. The first person we learned his name was the guy who sold us the home. So that's the context. Now you can keep rolling.
And by the way, the guy that sold us the home, he signed up, of course. He had to, right? Such a nice guy. And did he sign up as a promoter? I can't remember. He will be a promoter, though. But anyhow, so we didn't know a single soul, but we were committed. That was our big thing. And being consistent, like I think Shelley mentioned, we were consistent and just getting out there, talking to people. I joined a Bible study right away. The first week, I didn't. To be honest, I felt like it, but I didn't feel like it. I still had boxes, stuff to unpack and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm going to be committed. I'm going to get out there. I need a Bible study, first of all. But also, I wanted to meet people. I wanted to meet ladies right away. We got connected with the church right away. There's a YMCA down the street from our house, and, joined that and met people and, just talking to people, all the time. We're talking to people all the time. Alan joined a triathlete, club, and, just keep plugging along and doing what we're doing. So That's, like we've been doing before, still doing success teams. Had our first, I guess, Breakfast of Champions. It was informal, but yeah, and so it's super exciting. So we've only been there less than 2 months, and we have 5 promoters already. Alan had to correct me. I said 9 promoters, and I still think 9 promoters because I count the spouses. I'm sorry. It might not be official on paper, but we have 9 promoters. So yeah, we've only been there for a little bit, and we already have 9 promoters, so. But really 5.
Now, before you talk about social media, let me ask you this. So you've got over $1 million size business now, 3 Rubies, knocking on the door of 4 Ruby. But are you doing things, is there anything that you're doing that's not duplicatable? I mean, it sounds like joining a YMCA, a gym, anybody can do that. Joining a Bible study, anybody can do that. Anybody can go look at houses to meet a realtor. I mean, that's pretty duplicatable. Are there tools you're using that aren't duplicatable? I mean, what is the presentation you did in their homes? Is that duplicatable?
That's a great question, Josh. I'm fully convinced. I have the ultimate confidence that I could run ads or do a variety of things, do certain seminars. I could go do off the reservation, so to speak. And I'm just confident in myself at this point, largely due to 3 years in this business. I'll say that because I'm a shy, introverted guy and would never be at all. I would never have been able to grow into the man God's growing me into, and still have a long way to go if it wasn't for this business, which is one of the things I love about this business, one of many. But I'm confident I could do that and build a good income with NeoLife products, and just basically create myself a high-paying job. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. I could run ads. I could be on the phone all the time. I could be selling product. I could be making 6 figures selling product and not be duplicatable. But to answer your question, everything I'm doing is with a very conscious, intentional, if someone else can't do it, if a 18-year-old male or female can't do it, if an 80-year-old can't do it, if someone with no speaking experience can't do it, I don't want to really invest much time into that. Because it's not about a big income for me. It's not about creating another job for me. I've had plenty of those in the past, and some of them paid very well. It's about duplicating. So yes, everything we're doing is duplicatable. I don't know if you want specifics, but it's nothing more than everything that's been talked about that everybody knows about. And the presentation is the one that's in the back office.
Okay. All right. Is that encouraging to know? Okay, so you might have more than he has, but nobody's missing what he's using. Health Talk PowerPoint in the back office, videos that NeoLife has is keeping it very duplicatable. Okay, so Alan, let's talk about social media. People wanted to know, they're asking me, am I going to learn about social media here? Could you guys share a couple tips about what you've learned, what you're doing on social media, what not to do?
Yeah, if you want to add anything, feel free to jump in. But I don't have a ton to say. Well, I actually do, but I won't. What I want to say, I guess, most importantly about social media is I don't know it all. I don't even know 80% of it. I'm learning, and it keeps changing. And so I keep learning. But I don't get hung up in social media. It's not how I build my business. It's not how we build our business. It is just like if you could be this picture-perfect fitness model, like you stepped out of a magazine, there's those around, and that doesn't build your business. It will enhance building your business if you look like that, but it doesn't build your business. I know some of them, and they want to build a business, and they're not. So I guess the point is social media in and of itself won't build your business. It's just another enhancer. Just like living active, healthy life is an enhancer, right? Looking healthy is an enhancer. Social media is an enhancer. So that's my disclaimer is I'm not a social media expert. I don't claim to be. What I want to be an expert is building relationships. And if we will, and making friends. And if we will desire to build relationships and make friends, everything else will fall in place. The training is there to learn everything else along the way. So social media, I want to say this. If whatever you're doing on social media is working or contrary to anything I say, then don't listen to me. Do what's working. But if you've been doing social media for a while and you're not getting any leverage from it, then maybe you might want to listen to what I'm saying. So the first couple things I would like to share is get set up properly on I'll keep saying Facebook. I mean, it is the largest social platform on planet Earth, so I'm going to talk about the largest social platform. And I'm also going to say, whichever one you use, just master one before be a master of one instead of a master of none, or a jack of all trades and a master of none, or whatever that is. Really get good at one, I would recommend, than worrying about trying to feel like, I got to be on Twitter, and I got to be on Instagram, and LinkedIn and Facebook. Like, don't try to do all that. It won't go well. If you're great at all four, then do all four. Whatever, that's fine, or five. But anyway, so the first thing, though, is just get set up right. Like, realize that your profile, I'm going to keep talking Facebook, but this can apply to anything, is your resume. I mean, when people meet me, I was in someone's home in California not long ago, and meeting with the husband and wife, and they might be in this room, and I'm not sure because I can't see everyone real quick, but the husband said, before you came here, I want to know who was coming, so I checked you out on Facebook. I looked online. We all do that, don't we? If you want to know what I'm all about, or whoever's all about, now it may be fake, right? It may or may not be real, because, right, that's a whole nother issue. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look on social media, and we're going to look at that wall, and we're going to judge like that what that person's about. Again, it might be right, it might be wrong, but we're going to make a judgment based on what we see. So what do you want people to see? That's your resume. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I wrote a couple notes so I wouldn't forget. And the second thing is what you post. Think of it as like your TV channel. Now, I won't put you on the spot because there's surely some people in here that would raise their hand if I said, do you sit around watching infomercials? Because I know someone must, because they wouldn't do it if people didn't watch it and buy, right? So some people watch infomercials. I don't, and I know most of you don't. Most of you don't. And like commercials on channels, you don't sit there and watch commercials necessarily. You wouldn't go out of your way to do that. So don't let whatever you post be like a commercial. We want to flip that channel. I want to flip the channel during the commercials and come back to the content I want to see. So deliver the content when you post that your friends and your network wants to see. And what is that? It's you. It's your life. It's everything about. And if everything you post is NeoLife, what kind of life is that? And if everything you post is always about your dog, your one dog, and that's all what kind of life is that? Like, hopefully it's a balanced life, right? It's your life, and everyone's different. And some people are dogs is a big part of their life, and that's going to connect with so many people. So talk about your dogs. I wasn't putting that down. I'm just saying, don't just only show one part of your life. Like, try to show all of your life. And if we're afraid to expose our life to other people, online or offline, it's going to be challenging building this business. If we're afraid to invite people into our homes and into our lives, and online and offline, and just let it go, it's going to be a challenge to build a business, at least to build a sizable business.
Can I add to that? One thing we focus on when we post something is we call it the 3 E's. So we either entertain, educate, or empower. So that's what we focus on. And you can go into that if you...
Yeah, and if Nicole posts something about our child, that might be entertaining to some, and it's not to others. So we can't entertain everybody, right? But your vibe attracts your tribe. And we want to post people, we want to attract people that like us. And not everyone likes us. And that's okay. We're okay with that. So we're who we are. And the ones that like our culture, that's the kind of people that we're going to attract. And those are the people we want to attract, right? So, yeah, I don't know. There's more I could say, Josh, but those are kind of the basics. I don't know if there's other questions you might have specifically. Again, I guess one more thing I will say is, and it kind of ties into what I said, I would encourage everyone in your social media, here's 3 things I would really recommend. Number 1, don't forget that you're using it, again, I already said this, to enhance building your business. Well, how do you build a business? You build relationships. How do you build relationships? Step 1, you connect or build rapport with people. Every relationship has to start there. So if you think of Facebook or social media as, I'm going to sell my product or service or recruit on it, it's the whole wrong mindset. And don't do anything online that you won't do offline. If you're not going to stand out, outside your church or on the street corner or wherever with a sign that says whatever, then don't post that on social media. Does that make sense? It's really kind of common sense, but it's really the most uncommon of all senses. So I'm going to help you out. I need the help too. I've done some stupid stuff. But that's a big tip right there, is like post what you would do in real life, and don't post what, if you wouldn't do it in real life, if you wouldn't say it in real life, then don't post it. And the other thing is, when you do post, when we post about our business or our product, our goal is not to sell it. Our goal is to create curiosity and to attract. And the analogy I love to use is I love to fish and I like to hunt. And so there are two different approaches. I mean, you can sit in a tree stand and hunt. And in Washington State here, where we used to live, you can actually, unless they've changed it, you can put corn on the ground and bait and attract a deer to your tree stand. In other states, in most states, you can't. But so I'll say for the most part, though, hunting is more going after the prey, right? Which is what we kind of naturally tend to do in this business. And fishing, unless you're spearing it, you're always attracting. You're attracting with real bait, fake bait, a lure. I mean, you're putting something out there that they go, that looks good to me. And so I like to think about that when you post, too, when you're going to post about the business. I mean, I posted a post. It was just just a post of our pictures on our children on the airplane flying here. I chose not to even say we're flying to a NeoLife convention. I said we're flying to my favorite kind of business conference. One for the whole family. Well, I'm hoping that and I've been so busy I haven't gone back to look, but I'm hoping I get some likes and some comments and maybe even a private message of what kind of business conference is for the whole kind of family. Now, if I just said I'm going to a NeoLife convention, I more than likely probably am not going to get that. You guys can decide if you're getting that, if you're doing that. But probably what's going to happen is people go, NeoLife, Google, tell me what NeoLife is. Oh, now I know what NeoLife is. It's like Herbalife. I got it. Okay, and I'll never, ever get to meet them. I'll never get to talk to them. They'll never comment. And by the way, when they like your post or when they comment on your post, that's a lead. That's a lead. And we've done detox things, and every single like and every single comment, and this takes time, you go back, and I've sent them messages. Every single person, hey, Josh, thank you for the like on my video. I'm glad you watched it. That's all I said. I'd have people replying back to me going, yeah, tell me about this detox. How do you get it? How much does it cost? They didn't contact me. I would have never heard from them. But I thank them for liking a video or thank you for the comment. Do you know, just building a relationship. And now I started a dialogue. And I'm sorry, last thing. Then where the money's at and where the impact's at is not on the post. It's on Facebook Messenger, text, or hey, let me give you a call. That's where it's at. So it's just a means to an end to build a relationship and to get that conversation from the comments to let's take it over to Messenger and have a talk or text or phone. I think that's probably good, huh?
Yeah, are you guys getting good content? Is this good? Okay. So here's our goal, and I know the panel is in line with this because I know their hearts and all. It's just to pour value into you guys, right? It is now 5 o'clock, so that means the evening session's coming up for long. Not session, but the dinner and then the $1 million red carpet walk and all that. But if you want, and the panel agrees, I can go through like I did with the last panel, and we can ask each person to just quickly tell us one thing they wish they would have known when they started this business. Or in other words, what's one thing, a quick tip for you that they would want to share with you as if you're pretending you're a brand new person. Okay, would you like me to do that? Yes? Okay, you guys good with that? Yep? Okay. So this is your bonus, not costing you anything. Okay, Mom, what's one tip?
I wish we had never gone in retirement. I wish, when you heard how we sponsored 3 a month for 5 years, I wish we'd never stopped. I wish we would have realized the value of staying in that mode. I wish I would have had a tracker. And I wish I would have had the inviting formula. That pretty much sums it up.
2 things. I wish I had the confidence to get out and with both feet and run. I've always been both feet in, but I'm the type of person that loves to learn personal development. But you're not going out there and you're acting. You're just learning. You're taking it in, but you're not building. right? I'm learning and I'm growing, but I'm not acting. And so
But
I
now
actually
you're doing what? Show us. Now,
Now I have 2 feet going where I'm personal development. Well, I'm running, yes, and I'm acting. And I'm still learning and growing, but I'm going out there. And I always tell my team, if I could tell you now, just keep it simple and run. If that's what you want to do, you want to run, I'll run with you. If you want to walk, I'll walk with you. It'll be really hard, but I'll walk with you. But anyway, so that's my thing, is confidence and personal development and move.
you know, one of the things she's doing to offer value is Chelsea in the previous session mentioned offering value through fitness camps and things, or workouts she was doing with the ladies for free just to give value. So Shelly joined Chelsea in that and helped her build that and took it over. So she does that for women. It's a 30-minute at the tennis courts down the road. Anybody have parks down the road? Michelle Koval's doing that. Julia Nelson, the front row, is doing that. It's their thing to offer value to other people, giving. And Alan talked about offering value, entertainment, education, and what's the third? And there's a lady empowerment. That's now at home while I'm here. She's doing it for you. Just because she's been with me for so long, that now she's back there. That's cool. Okay, Gary.
I wish somebody would have told me that my pride and my arrogance and my negativity had the potential to keep me from knowing so many people at this convention, friends that are so amazing that I would trust my life to them. I wish somebody would have told me that there is a better, smarter way to do things. And I wish I would have allowed myself to open up to the possibilities sooner and not taken so long. So that's my encouragement is don't waste a second. It's not worth it. It's pointless. So.
That's good. Wow, thank you.
I would say that once you make a decision, like, because I said I started products and then it just sort of happened that it was a business. Once you decide that you want to do a business, that's the time to start success trackers and keep going. One other little tidbit, and it's not necessarily at the very beginning, but when you get somebody started and they start really growing and going fast, make sure you explain the compensation plan to them so that if somebody under them breaks away, they're not distraught because they suddenly got no check. Help them go wide enough that they are not going to lose their whole income right off if that happens, because even now a lot of people don't understand the whole breakaway thing, and they need to understand that once they get going, it's not for your initial beginning, it's for their getting going.
That's good. And you know what? That's also, we have a getting started training. You can go to neolifeevents.com and register for that. And we're now, as part of that, the latest ones, we actually walk them through that quickly, the compensation plan. That's good. Thank you, Arlene.
Actually, that's what I was going to say, too, is I wish I had done more. Well, we didn't even really have the tools clear at the very beginning, which we now have. So, but I find times I wish I would have gotten right on that getting started meeting a whole lot sooner than I did. And it's so important to get your new people profitable immediately. And I wish I had done that better.
I wish if I was doing it over again, I would have never stopped recruiting frontline. I am a massive proponent in what Josh and Louie and different ones teach. I teach it, 3 and deep. So important to build deep. We've built so deep. We built way deep beyond our pay level at this point. So I'm all for that. It's awesome. But never at the expense of recruiting yourself as well. That's what I feel I would do differently is I would have never stopped working with my team. I wouldn't do anything different there. But in the process, continue to keep building out your front line too. That's what I would do differently. Because the number one reason is because people do what you do. People do what you do. And this isn't socialism, and I don't want to build a I don't want people depending all on me. And so I want to help them. I want to build deep. I want to do all that. But I want them also to look up to their leader, one of their many leaders, and go, he's doing what he tells me to do, not just teaching it. And so we got so busy, building deep and managing and things that we had a period of time where we weren't personally recruiting as much as we are again now. And I would do that differently.
Wow, we might be here all night. I have a list. No. Okay, I'll just pick a few. I think for me, it would be don't prejudge your prospect or your future promoter. I tend to, in the past have done that. And Alan's taught me, don't prejudge. I do that a lot too with text. It's hard to know, what someone's thinking. I do better in person, but which goes along with the power of the mind too, which I've talked on. The power of the mind. The mind is a powerful thing, and what you believe to be true of yourself will be true. And so for me, that's I wish I knew in the beginning, the power of the mind and how powerful that is. And another thing, follow-up. Excuse me, my voice. Follow-up. How important follow-up is.
Wow. All right, let's give it up one last time for our panel. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you.